All right. Good morning, you guys. So I'm Candace, and I've been coaching for about 2 years. Today, I'm going to talk about um, inviting and how I invite, ways to have more conversations, how to follow it, and how to or track it and follow up with people. So when I first started coaching, this was exactly the thing that I was like, I'm not doing this part. Like, I am not um, going to invite. And really, what it was for me was that I told myself a lot of stories. I told myself that if I would message somebody, they're going to be annoyed. I will be salesy. I'll go against everything I believe, and I will be annoying, salesy, stuff like that. And really, for me, it was more so just a belief in myself of like, eh, if I do it and no one joins, well, then I have to really face the music that nobody wanted to join me. But let me tell you, when you start inviting, you will get people to join you. Another thing was I had to have a huge, huge belief in the fact that what I was inviting someone to was a gift. And we're all here because this has changed our life in some way, shape, or form. So we already know it's a gift. Um, so if you still feel like after this that you would be annoying or salesy or whatever, if you're messaging people, then hit the personal development and work on that belief in yourself that what you have to offer is a gift, and it's only going to come across salesy if you make it salesy. Um, and the more that you do it, the better you'll get. But if you just like anything, if you don't do it, you don't practice, you are not going to get better. So I want you to take what you want from this call and make it your own. But I really want you to ask yourself when you're done if you are saying you're choosing that if you're really saying that this is again inviting is against my beliefs, I'm just going to post and hope that people attract to me. Is it really your belief? Is it really like a hardcore value of yours, or is it because it feels uncomfortable? Right? Like, is it a really valid reason for your life? And if it is, then that's fine. And if it's not, then um, if it's just that it's actually uncomfortable, which it does feel uncomfortable to start with, but at this point, 2 years in, I really don't bat an eye at inviting people. Sometimes I'll pause when it's someone I know in real life, especially if it's a coworker, and I'll be like, ugh. But then I just remember that I don't get to pick who gets the gift. Like, that's not my job. And I don't know jack squat about them behind closed doors. And so I can't decide for them in my mind, the picture I have of them, if they get the gift or not, or if they need it or not. We have no idea. If someone looked at me 2 years ago, they would think she's got it together with her health and fitness. She was an athlete, this and that. They would not have asked me. And they didn't, because I messaged Andrea. I'm like that rare unicorn that sent the message. That's not normal. Like, someone I always think of is my friend Holly Todd. She's on our team. And in my mind, I knew she was a CrossFitter, like this amazing mama workout machine. And I did not invite her for a while because I'm like, she won't need it. She already knows how to do all this. Turns out I finally invited her, and she like was at the lowest of lows. I had no idea. And hopefully she doesn't mind me sharing this. I think she spoke to this before, and she had just had her third baby like I did, and CrossFit, going to the gym, it was not an option anymore. And that, like, an hour-long workout, not an option anymore. So, I mean, she's someone who went diamond on our team. How do I almost didn't invite her. Like, that's crazy bananas. Don't decide who gets the invite. That's not your job. Okay, ways that I have conversations are, and I've said these before, but I comment on people's photos. Like, as I'm scrolling, and I've said this before too, I'm an introvert by nature. This seems so weird to me that I would stop and message someone on Instagram like, oh my gosh, where is your daughter's headband from? That is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Like, that feels weird, but that's what Instagram is for. And that's what social media is for. You are supposed to be social on it. So I comment on photos. One thing I really love to do is I'll scroll through people's stories, and I will just hit the react button. That puts me right into their direct message. I will comment on their stories. I love that because it's not just a comment on a picture. It's in a private setting now. Now I'm in their direct inbox. And then anytime that I post a story or a well, not every single time, but multiple times a week, when I post a story or a post or whatever, I'll go back through those posts that have to do with joining me or a boot camp or whatever. And anyone who likes or comments, they're getting an invite. So examples of what I say, if I'm sending an actual like, hey, do you want to join me? I don't like small talk. So if you like small talk, you're going to want to word this differently. But I just say, like, for example, from a story, if I've just talked about a boot camp, I will click on who watched it that night, and I will just go through and I will send them a message saying, hey, thanks for watching. Should I send you info on my June group? One thing I've tweaked in the last month or two is Josh Coates said to get rid of the word, are you interested? Interested. He said to get rid of that word, and I can't even remember why. But now I just say, should I send you info on my blah, blah, blah group? And then when they do, and same thing with posts, I'll say, hey, thanks for liking my post. Should I send you info on my June group? And so I like short and sweet because I don't love small talk. So I assume my people won't like small talk either. Like, cut to the chase, give me the price. Like, what is it? But anyways, when they respond, because now I've given them a chance to say yes or no, and I have noticed that I've gotten way more responses, even if they've been no's. I've gotten way more responses than I normally have when I use the word interested. At least I think so. Anyways, so then I always, if they say, yeah, sure, send me some information, I always write back and I say, awesome. I have a private group starting on this day. So you need to know when your groups are starting. You need to have a group starting so that you can say this. So I say, I have a private group starting on the 15th. Do you have any health and fitness goals right now? That way I'm not just jumping into the salesy feeling, right? I'm just saying, tell me about yourself. Tell me about you. And then they'll say like, well, yeah, I've got these 10 pounds to lose or this or that, or like, I just have no energy, and whatever they say, then I can say, awesome, I can help you with that. I can help you with that. And here's what I think would be a best fit for you. Let me send you this. And that's when I might send them like a picture of the pricing and say, hey, I use the middle package. Let me know what questions you have now. And whatever. So that's kind of how I make sure to get them talking about themselves, because if they don't join you at that point in time, in that first conversation, now you have something to follow up with. Hey, how are you doing with those 10 pounds from last month on your own? Like, is it working on your own? Or, hey, how is that gym membership going? So you have things to talk about, their pain points, Angelia would say. And if you can get them in that pain point feeling, like they're going to buy something, because who doesn't buy something when they want to fix something about themselves? But if you have them out of that feeling, and I'm not just saying like we're trying to buy, but we all know that this can change their life and this can get them to what they want as far as their health and fitness. So, okay. So with that, you have to also remember that our daily actions and things go hand in hand with this. So it's really hard to have a conversation about, hey, should I send you information about my June boot camp, if you've never talked or posted about your June boot camp? Like, if you've never made a story that said, guys, I am hosting this group and it is going to be amazing because blah, 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 and we're doing this. Like, if you've never talked about that, then it's going to be very weird and salesy probably to send someone a message saying, do you want more information on this magical group that I've never said anything about? And they're gonna be like, what are you talking about? I've never heard you say this. I didn't know you were even open for business. So you need to be on your stories. You need to be posting about it. And when you post, just write a story of how this has changed your life, or one part of it that's changed your life, or one benefit it has. And at the very end, say, if you want more information about this, message me or drop a heart. Give them an action to do, because you cannot assume that just because you're showing a transformation picture, but you've never said, hey, I can help you. You can't assume that they know that you are a business and that you are someone that can help them. You can't assume that. People will not jump to that conclusion. They'll be like, wow, that is amazing for her. They'll cheer you on. They'll probably write super nice things in your comments like, you go girl, like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. Meanwhile, you've never told them, you were super brave that you posted your transformation, but you've never let them know, like, if you want this too, send me a message or vote on this poll in my story, whatever. Okay. And trust me, you will get better at your story writing, at your speaking on your stories, because again, if you don't practice those things, you will not get better and it will just always feel awkward. But as soon as you do it more and more, you're going to get better. Okay. You're going to get better, but not if you don't do it. Don't overthink what you're sharing. Okay. Don't overthink like, what am I supposed to say? Just say it. Just start saying things and you will figure it out and you'll get better. Okay. And then whatever you figure out the story is or how you like saying it, then you're going to repeat that every day. And you're going to let them know every day on your stories that I've got a group. Don't forget, if you need to, I've got a group. Or, hey, have you ever woken up? I like to tell a story like so that it's like, oh, you're in my head. Are you getting up this morning for work and you're looking in your closet and you have that gut sinking feeling that, oh my gosh, there's like that much of the closet I can wear and I've already worn those 2 shirts this week and I just like, oh, I don't have anything to wear this week. And doesn't that feeling suck? I have a group that can help change that feeling. Like, boom, now you're like, oh shit, how does she know that I'm in front of my closet watching this story? And she felt it too. Well, if she felt it, maybe she can help me because she's already been there. So tell a story and then let people know that you can help them. Okay. If you're talking about it all the time, like these amazing groups you have, or hey, look at what a challenger said, or look at this, or look at that. And if you don't have challengers yet, you guys are in groups. Screenshot somebody's comment, cover their name and say, look at what someone in my group that I'm in said. You don't need to have a billion of your own contacts. You all are in groups. Use that. Hide their names because not everybody wants to be on social media, but just say, geez, look at what she said. Like, oh, wouldn't you want that feeling? And now, once you've been talking about this all the time, people aren't going to be shocked when you say, hey, I saw you watching. Do you want some information about my June group? Or should I send you information about my June group? Okay, so now here is how I track and follow up with people, because I think this part is so, so key, is following up, because I think so many other MLMs are like, oh, no, okay, peace out, goodbye. Or they even get rude to you and you're like, no, thanks. So follow up. And if it's not the right time, it's not the right time at that moment. But then if they've responded to you and said no, or they've responded to you, literally, if they've messaged me back, I write their name down. And here's what I do, because we're all busy. So here's how I save time. With my phone, I'll be like, okay, so-and-so Susie wrote me back, and whatever. And we've talked a little bit and it's not the right time. And she said, she's going to start with a gym membership. I screenshot the conversation because it will put her Instagram name in the screenshot. And I leave that in my photos. And then every couple of weeks, I'll open up my Google Doc on my computer and I will go through my photos and I will put in the names of people. And I had screenshotted the conversation of what she had said. And I'll make a little note and I'll say, okay, Susie Sue, and starting gym membership in May. Okay, now when I'm going back through the next month and I'm like, okay, I need to go do my follow-ups, right? We say to do your follow-ups. Well, who the hell do you follow up with if you didn't track anybody? Instagram Messenger and Facebook Messenger are not tracking systems. Those are not tracking systems. So whether it is a notebook for you and you just write people in, I used to write them on the back of the Beachbody tracker, the Success Club tracker, but I don't like clutter. And so I throw those away and then I don't have the people. So I know Andrea does this and she showed me her Google Doc and I'm like, oh, this works for me. As teachers, we use Google Docs all the time. So on the top, I'll have like the month. And if anyone signs up or if I send someone a link, I'll put them in and I'll maybe leave them red until they've completed the link. And then I'll change them to black. And then underneath is who have I talked to that either sounded interested, but they haven't written back yet, or they've said no, and I'll write them in. Okay. And then I have a list and now I can go back in bulk, like at the start of a new month, or maybe when there's a new program coming out or a new sale or whatever, and I can follow up with those people. And I can say, hey, I know May wasn't a great time for you, but I just wanted to let you know that everything is on sale this month. And maybe you don't even say that because really $20 isn't going to make or break if somebody signs up. But whatever feels good to you, you say, I just want to check in on you. How's that going with X, Y, and Z? And so I screenshot that in those conversations and I put their names in Google Docs so that I don't have to do that right away and track them. And then if I just leave them in Messenger, I guarantee I'll forget that they were there and I won't put them in my follow-up. And then I also love to, when someone says like, oh yeah, I just love watching you, then or like a lot of people tell me they're pregnant, and then I'll be like, because I follow a lot of moms, I'll say, oh, that's, I'll congratulate them, whatever. And then I'll say, okay, so I'm going to put you in my calendar to follow up with you in February. Does that sound good? And if they're like, yeah, sure, then I make sure that I put them in that Google Doc and highlight them to, hey, having a baby in January, follow up in February. And then I will follow up with them. I'll say, oh my gosh, how are you? How did the baby and everything go, right? Okay. So track your yeses and your nos. Both of them are important. Even if somebody said no, put it down and write why they said no so that you can go and ask them about that later. I'm looking at my note cards, right? Teacher, coach life. Okay. I wrote, what gets measured improves. Josh Coates, I'm reading his book and podcast and absorbing him. And if you don't track what you're doing, and if you don't know how many invites you're sending or how many people are writing you back, I would highly recommend doing that. That way you can be like, okay, how am I doing? Am I hitting the things that I want to hit each month? And if I'm not, well, then let's look at the numbers, because they're going to correlate. Okay. Along with the daily actions too, you have to be following new people and trying to grow your following that way. Because if you just sit and think that it's just going to organically, like people are just going to start following you, it's usually not the case. So I go and follow new people. Usually they're moms or something we have in common. They live in Minnesota or they're a teacher or whatever. And I'll follow new people because you want to keep expanding that too. So anyways, go and do, right? Take action, because you can't get better until you do it. And yes, your first conversations are going to feel so awkward and fumbly, and you're going to be like, should I word vomit on them? Should I not? What should I tell them? What's important? And we've all been there, and you're going to get in a flow once you've done it more than once that will work for you, and then it'll just feel natural. I love the voice message option because now they're like, oh, she's not copy and pasting me a message, she's actually speaking to me. So if it's uncomfortable, lean in. I am a firm believer, and this is coming from someone who stayed in a box like that big her whole life because I just assumed that's what everybody wanted from me and I would make everybody happy if I just like was that person that like never went out of the box. And it turns out those uncomfortable signs, and funny enough, in my personal development this morning, Ed Milet, he literally said those butterflies in your stomach, as kids, we chase those. And as adults, we avoid them like the plague because it's that uncertainty feeling. Well, it's uncertain when you send someone a message if they're going to write back. But guys, the worst that's going to happen is they're going to ghost you, which I think is the worst. Or they'll say no, and then at least they've messaged you and had a conversation possibly. So anyway, you're not going to die and it'll be fine. So lean into the uncomfortableness because it's totally the sign from the universe, like that you should do that. It's right outside of your comfort zone, and fail forward. Like just post, put a story up. Being done is 100 times better than being perfect, right? 100 times better than being perfect. Get it out there. And then just go find the belief in yourself. If you don't have that, if you don't believe that you're worthy of people following you, like you got to this point on your own and you figured out and you have a transformation that you are an expert. Like you can give someone else a transformation because you figured out how to make this work. You can make it work for somebody else too. So whatever you need to do, what personal development you need to dive into, go do it. Because if you don't have that belief, you can send hundreds of invites and it's just that energy is going to come through and people are going to be like, I'm not really attracted to her. I don't know why, but I'm not. But if that belief comes, like watch out because you're going to be powerful knowing that you're giving a gift. Okay. That's all I have in my notes. What do people have for questions or clarifications or even just tips of your own for inviting or conversations or just anything?
One of the things that kind of stood out to me with Josh Coates was that he said, you're not trying to like talk to somebody who's like an all-star athlete or like something like that. You're just trying to talk to somebody who's like where you started and to get them to where you are today. So like if you're like doubting yourself that you don't know enough yet, you haven't had enough of a transformation, anything like that, like that's, you're not looking for somebody up here. You're looking for somebody that is starting in your shoes, and that's why you have your niche market, and that's who you're speaking to. You're just trying to help somebody to get to where you are today, and that is both the same with where you are in your fitness journey and where you are in your coaching journey. Like chances are you didn't sign up to make $1 million. So you're just trying to share what has changed your life today to get where you are today. Maybe that's making $200, maybe that's being in a community that you didn't have before. So just kind of think about that. If you're struggling to invite or to write a post or something like that, like make sure you're talking to who you were and to who you are, and not, you know, an all-star athlete or